The Patriot Badger would like to support a veteran-owned company, Blood Brothers Forge, specializing in custom knife making, leatherworks and laser engraving, and most of all, integrity in business. Give them a call at 517-990-2016 or visit them on their Facebook page at Blood Brothers Forge. And we would also like to encourage you to pick up a copy of Millennial Ranger, Spiritual Survival While Surviving, by Army Ranger, Purple Heart recipient, and combat veteran Christopher Watkins. Available at spiritualsurvivalist.com and also on Amazon. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Patriot Badger. Some housekeeping again. If you happen to like what you hear, please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe. And then please give us a donation if you can. PayPal link is in the description below. So today, we're going to talk about quite a few things in regards to the left, but really more about yours and my resolve and what we need to do. Okay. First thing I want to show you is this video. It's a video I came across called "Beware of a Pissed Off Marine." Most people would probably look at that title right off the bat and then think to themselves, "Oh well, you know." It just goes to show how crazy these people are, or, veterans and stuff like that, as if you were Janet Napolitano back in the day declaring all veterans as domestic terrorists. But no, I want you to watch this, and I really want you to pay attention to what's being said. And I may pause it, somewhere in between. It's not a long video, but, just to talk about some things. But I want you to pay attention to this first. Here we go.
You have with supper.
I got to Vietnam and signed Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. And on 30 January 1968, we got sent to Fubai. Half of the company did not make it because of insufficient helicopters to fly. So we had a company of approximately 150 Marines, which was at half strength. Sometime in the middle of the night, our company commander woke us up and told us to saddle up, that the MACV compound in Way City needed our help. And we'd be back by noon. Now, being salty Marines, I had wet socks, so I just put my combat boots on with no socks. Took one bandolier of ammo, and we loaded up on trucks. And we got to the MACV compound. There was a lull in the fighting. They repelled I don't know how many attacks. They had barely survived the surge. Their walls had been breached. And I could remember there was a wall, and they started cheering us as we came in because they had been through hell, and they thought that we were there to save the day. And little did we know the numerical numbers of NVA there. What we didn't know is on the first day of Way City, there was 9 battalions of NVA, 9 numerically, that put us at that point at a few hundred to 1 odds. And these were not Viet Cong. These were trained NVA troops with weapons and training and the ability, and this was their battle to end this war. Most of us thought we'd never get out.
As we certainly learned on that first day, trying to go down both sides of the street and finding that totally ineffective. We had to adapt quickly, and that was sort of a natural thing for these Marines.
Americans adapt. We improvise. The most ferocious fighting machine the world has ever seen is a 19-year-old pissed off Marine. Because you'll take that kid from Detroit or Mississippi and you'll train him in Marine Corps boot camp and you'll put him in a situation that's foreign to him and he will adapt and improvise and become that situation and deal with it.
So let's start this with, besides the fact that, literally few 100 to 1 odds, okay? It's talked about quite often, amongst ourselves about civilians back here in the world, if you will. It's also talked a great deal about those that came before us and living up to those ideals. This is one of the things that's missing, I think, greatly in the civilian populace today. We've forgotten, and I say we because now I am part of that civilian populace and I'm trying to be fair, even though, in truth, I probably still, consider myself separate and probably always will. But we've forgotten where we came from and how we got here. Instead, we're too focused on being the victim. We're too focused on going after one another. And really the only people that are responsible for that, or that have really, made this, the norm, is the left. Okay? Yeah, people are going to argue and bicker and things like that, as, that's just the way people are. But what's going on with this divide in the nation is only because of the left. Their literal ideology, whether you want to say they're socialist, whether you want to say they're communist, whatever, it doesn't matter. It is insidious, okay? I've said this before, I believe. It's not that they're stupid, okay? It's that they're so reckless and extreme, they don't care until they meet, a force like themselves right in their face. And then they crumble. Every time. I don't care if it's a physical fight, like you see, in the riots and stuff like that, would say the Proud Boys or whatever. Or something along the lines of, what we're dealing with here in my county, and other people are, that have taken the fight in another direction towards this ideology that is literally trying to destroy the nuclear family, and rip the next generation or the current generation coming up in the school system from its roots, from its families, and alienate them. And what they fail to understand is, and you know what, I'm not even going to say they fail to understand. They know exactly what the hell they're doing. They just don't care, okay? And that's what makes them, in my mind, insane, okay? They really don't care about the destruction of what they're doing as long as the means justify the end in this regard. It's so insidious, so deceitful, and so well planned and executed. Again, like I said in my last video regarding the complacency of those around us, they know that this stuff is mentally taxing. They know that the fight against this, this ideology and this rhetoric can be depressing. And they know that most people just want nothing to do with it. I mean, ask yourselves, not to put anybody down, but again, what's the percentage of people that have actually served in the military historically? It's less than 1% and remains so. And that's completely fine. I mean, there's plenty of people, if you will, as part of the warrior culture of this nation that can hack it and take care of it. The rest, they're benefiting from the freedoms they're provided and protected, or the freedoms that are protected by that less than 1%. So, where are we going with this? I saw this video today, and the first thing I thought of was that gentleman there on the porch in the rocking chair when you saw that at the beginning. And the first thing I thought about was how deep his thoughts must be, not just because of how they portrayed it in the video, but having been there. And it was interesting how I was able to separate my own career and combat experience for the sake of his and understanding. And that's when it dawned on me. Again, at almost half the nation can't do that about anything in their lives. They cannot separate themselves and see another point of view. And they sure as hell can't appreciate what that gentleman and those Marines, and everyone else there went through. So what does this really mean, especially if you're, on the left watching this? Essentially 2 to 300, estimated to 1, okay? 2 to 300 to 1. That is the resolve that you're dealing with. And you can sit there and say to yourself, oh, well, he's just trying to get in our heads. I don't have to, because I'm already there. So is the rest of the patriots in this country. We're already in your heads. That's why you're losing your minds. You weren't prepared for when people started to finally stand up. And you sure as hell weren't prepared for veterans to do the same. Because in your mind, and some of you, you may be on the left and you may have served. That's great. Okay? But you specifically know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that you didn't serve in the same capacity as the rest of us. Not one of you has any reason, not one logical reason to hate the President of the United States. Because you've never given a single reason with proof for almost 4 years now. Not one. But it's amazing, you'll channel that for your own ends, but it's also amazing, again, going back to the family unit and the generations that you're essentially trying to destroy, so that there's no way for the cause of right to come back from it. It's literally no different than if, you were a warring tribe, in some third world nation, and somehow you got the upper hand, whether it was by numbers or whatever, and you killed every male there, so that there would never be any people from that group to be able to come back and take the fight to you years later. That's what this is. And those of you on the right that consider yourselves conservative, when you say things like, oh, there's, what can I do? My hands are tied, things like that. You're not a patriot at that point. You're not even, you're literally only looking out for your own survival, because you're too afraid to stand up for what's right. Even if you sit in church every day, okay? I know you're not in church every day, but if you were, and you were supposed to stand up for what's right, you would not do that. We've got pastors and preachers right now and priests around the world that are doing the same thing, all in the name of forgiveness, and not realizing that essentially the enemy element, okay, is growing in number, growing in strength, and capitalizing on the weakness. And again, I'm not saying you're going to need to go grab a gun and do stuff, but they're capitalizing on your mental weakness, the weakness of, your lack of fortitude. That's exactly what they're capitalizing on. Meanwhile, you sit on your porch, in your churches, hanging out with your friends, fishing, whatever, and think to yourself, it's not my problem. Or you're complaining about it and doing nothing about it. But again, getting back to the left, it's not like, they stop at those kinds of things. Let's take a look at this. Some of you may have heard about this with the Girl Scouts. And just so we're aware, if you're leftist and you're seeing the Fox News thing and you're already triggered, and losing your mind, don't worry, I have other news outlets as well that are pulled up here for you for other things that you idiots do. Anyway, the Girl Scouts delete social media post congratulating Amy Coney Barrett on Supreme Court appointment. They did this because of the backlash from feminists and leftists. They were celebrating, even though the Girl Scouts, do, and the Boy Scouts as well, do allow LGBTQ groups or what have you in there. Even though the Girl Scouts were literally just celebrating the accomplishments of a woman because that woman didn't meet your narrative, you turn around and give the Girl Scouts backlash. Everything from, I'm going to spend my money on something else instead of buying Girl Scout cookies. Okay. But you're the same people that want to whine, moan, and complain when somebody says we're going to boycott something that you're doing or something that you have. You're the same people that have conservatives on your side, if you will, that are friends with, at least, they're pawns that you use. And unfortunately, even though some of them may be smart, they're too, ignorant to see what you're doing. You're going to use that so that no one else can turn around and do the same thing to you. Or you get upset about it. Or you get them to get upset for you. They really need to put leftist in the dictionary and make the definition say hypocrite. That's what they need to say. Because that's exactly what you are. I mean, take a look at this here, okay? The post featured an image of Barrett, her two Supreme Court colleagues, Associate Justices Elena Kagan and Sonia Sotomayor, former Associate Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and the late Associate Justice and Barrett's predecessor, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The move quickly faced backlash from critics and lawmakers, with Rep. Ayanna Pressley, Democrat from Massachusetts, tweeting, "What kind of patch does one earn for uplifting a woman who is the antithesis of justice?" Really? You have nothing to base that off of. Not one thing in this woman's career has she done that went against the law, the Constitution. She's not an activist judge. Not like all of you leftists out there that are judges. I mean, hell, hats off to her for even standing there with Sotomayor and Kagan. Both of them straight up leftists. Everybody knew that from day one. They didn't hide it, not one bit. But another Twitter user, a lifetime Girl Scout, said she was ashamed of the post. Yeah, because you guys literally shame each other into this victim mentality. You shame each other into this, oh gosh, I can't believe I was associated with that. Well, shoot, man. Can you imagine all the combat veterans out there, that can't stand the left, that if they said, what the backlash would be if they turned around and said, I'm ashamed of you. I'm ashamed that you're even in this country, let alone the fact that you can call yourself an American citizen. Imagine that. But it goes on further. Girl Scouts of the USA is a non-political, non-partisan organization. The statement added, "We are neither red nor blue, but Girl Scout green." Man, where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. When all you guys try to call people like myself or whoever racist because I'm white and I'm born inherently racist. All right. One of the greatest things, like I said in some other videos a while back, in the Marine Corps, we were all green. Amazing where that comes from. We're here to lift up girls and women. one of the more than 4,000 replies to the post that she would take her business elsewhere, saying, I'm going to spend my $100 Girl Scout cookie budget on ingredients to make my own next year. You know what? First of all, you ungrateful piece of shit, $100 isn't nothing, okay, in today's day and age. Secondly, you probably don't need those cookies. I guarantee you're probably one of those people. So go ahead and make your own. Michelson, editorial director of the Huffington Post, or HuffPost Personal, argued in a Facebook post that there was no requirement that we celebrate someone as a hero to women simply because she identifies as a woman, especially when the thing she did was actually done for her by a gang of disgraceful goons and when she is poised to destroy the lives of so many people. Check this out, dude. See, now I'm going to get heated. That's some freaking moron's opinion, okay? Michelson, that's your opinion. You're a complete idiot, and you've made yourself out to look like an idiot. Okay? Identifies as a woman. All the little buzzwords that you idiots on the left use, it literally makes you look stupid. Okay? Because you're trying to normalize somebody being able to say, I identify as, this pencil. Whatever. Anything they want to make up that day so that, they feel good about themselves. But as you go on here and you say, especially when the thing she did was actually done for her by a gang of disgraceful goons. Why? Because they're on the right? You guys tried to do the exact same thing on the left. You tried to do the exact same thing. You just didn't have the power at the time. And now you're upset. Because again, it's not about you up there. Okay? It's not about the media talking heads. It's about the American voter. It's about the Electoral College. It's about the Constitution of the United States. You don't get to make the rules up as you go. And then you wonder why we just, literally loathe you people. And then you say, when she is poised to destroy the lives of so many people. So this is the greatest part of this, okay? And I can't remember if I brought this up in the last video or not. This is the greatest part. You idiots on the left, you are absolute morons, okay? You act as if Amy Coney Barrett is going to walk into the Supreme Court and just immediately go, nope, we can't do that, we can't do that, we can't do that. No, what you're afraid of is that she has a valid, legal, and constitutional argument that cannot be swayed. And that the other people on the board, okay, again, everybody pay attention to this is the mind games, okay? That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid she's going to convince the other justices that this is wrong, okay? They're people of their own mind, for crying out loud, okay? If we want to go that route, never mind the fact that they rule based on the law. Now, some of you out there on the right are probably, well, they haven't taken up a single Second Amendment case yet. You know what? You're right, they haven't. I wonder why, because they didn't have that majority. If you think for 1 second Roberts is part of the conservative side, you're smoking something, okay? Roberts is right along with the rest of the leftists. But here's the thing. They're not supposed to be activist judges. They're not supposed to be, or they're supposed to be, bipartisan. You just are literally crying and whining and wailing at the fact that you don't have a majority of, your kind on the Supreme Court. You have no idea. Just like you guys going after Kavanaugh and Gorsuch, you don't even know what they're going to do. You don't even know their real position. You try to destroy two men's lives over nothing. And I love how you morons out there try to say, oh, there was proof, she had proof, paid people off, and multiple witnesses. Yeah? Where's all those folks now? As soon as they knew that he was in, there was nothing to gain now. You haven't heard Hyde or seen one hair of these people since Kavanaugh. Not one. And because you really couldn't find anybody to go after Justice Barrett, you've got literal, senators, disgraceful human beings. I'm not even going to say her stinking name, from Hawaii, gonna put out stupid allegations and or I mean not even, well, try to make it that way, you know, just to put the thought in people's heads. That's all it was, about whether or not, you know, sexual favors and all this other kind of stuff to get to their position. Gee, who do we know that did that? That it was actually proven. Oh, that's right. Camel Harris. And that's exactly how I'm going to leave that. I regret nothing. Some commenters also offered praise for the post, with one woman on Facebook writing, "Girl Scouts, thank you for celebrating all women and showing us that there is a place at the table for those with all different sorts of values. Practicing what you're preaching right here. It's very nice to see." I agree. I'm glad to see the organization support all women, both liberal and conservative. Again, we got to get away from this liberal thing, because these people aren't liberal. They're left. One conservative woman pointed out that she didn't trash the Girl Scouts when I didn't agree with things that were against my beliefs. When other conservatives trashed Girl Scouts for leftist ideas, I defended it. She added, "Now I see it being trashed by the so-called tolerant left for uplifting a female to the Supreme Court. This is disappointing." So, I don't have anything, I mean, I can't base that off of anything. And this person obviously is just saying, like most people do, without any actual evidence or, you know, something we can point to and go look for. Those of you bashing the organization, please remember there are conservatives that support Girl Scouts too. I was grateful to see the post in support of women, regardless of who they are. Even one of Barrett's critics saw no issue. As much as I dislike this particular woman, again, why? You don't have any basis whatsoever. Did she come over and like let her dog poop on your lawn? Did she yell across at you or something, you know, some crossword? I highly doubt it. And deplore the political hypocrisy that allowed her to be in such respected company. You've got to be kidding me with that statement. Are you kidding me? Political hypocrisy? You know, you on the left, Dems, you know, senators, congresspeople, you know, and I've been meaning to say this for a while. It's amazing. It doesn't matter how much video footage there is. It doesn't matter how many quotes and recordings. You guys will stand there and lie through your teeth. Even though somebody could put it on a screen in front of your face, you would stand right there and go, "That wasn't me." Again, that's why you are literally loathed throughout the world. Loathed. Not freaking hated. Loathed. You might want to look that one up, leftists. But the Girl Scouts of USA is completely right to recognize her. Well done. It could have not been easy. Right. You know why it's not easy? It's not easy because you guys have to make a mountain out of a molehill over every little thing. Every little thing. While, you know, may seem off topic, how's the whole paper straw covering thing for plastic straws working out for you out there in California? Freaking morons. But let's move on here. What does all this have to do with anything? It goes right into this. The 2019 results, if you weren't aware, are released. It's 1:30 in the morning, so it was yesterday. For 12th grade student achievement that just came out for the United States. You idiots on the left want to, you know, bitch, moan, and complain about, you know, LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you know, in the schools, we need to push systemic racism and LGBTQ, you know, curriculum or whatever, you know, to educate people for tolerance and whatnot. Take a look at this right here. Take a look, you freaking losers. 37% reading proficiency. 24% math proficiency for the United States. Every argument you have ever heard me say has said, get that crap out of the schools. It's a distraction. Get back to the core of what these kids need to be successful. But you want to know what those numbers really say? And by the way, if you're a teacher that actually does what you're supposed to do, okay, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the leftists in the school that have the majority of academia under their thumb, including the teachers' unions, the school boards, your superintendents, Okay? Your principals, all these people that want to claim they're nonpartisan. I'm sorry, but you're taking a side whether you choose to vocally say it or not. That right there, those numbers right there, that is your fault. That's not the student's fault. That's your fault because you've allowed them to be so distracted with everything else. And guess what? You can't even blame that on COVID. 2019, gradually worse from 2015. Go ahead and look it up. You are failing America's kids, and you're doing it on purpose. And let me tell you why I believe this. Because those numbers right there provide for nothing more than impressionable drones. Okay? The kids will not have the knowledge that they need to succeed in life, to fight for their very own survival, to compete against those that are smarter than them, and it keeps them in their place. It keeps them in a specific area, job-wise, etc. Gee, where does that come from? Oh, that's right. Socialism. And then further on, communism. That's what this is. And if you want to argue and say, you on the left and say, oh, no, that's not what that's, nobody's pushing for that, then you explain these fucking numbers. You're going to say every kid in the nation, they just weren't doing their homework, they're all complete discipline problems or anything like that? No. They are so distracted every day with their identity politics, their ideological politics. Oh my gosh, I'm a victim. Oh my gosh, so-and-so doesn't like me. Whatever, that they don't even focus or care. And you guys push them right through. No, it doesn't happen. Let me explain something to you. It does. I have an adopted son. That's exactly what the school system did to him. Almost 12 years old when he came into our lives. That kid didn't know anything. Nothing. But he knew how to buy, you know what? I take that back. He knew how to buy a pack of cigarettes. Why is an 11-year-old kid know how to do that? Why is an 11-year-old kid even able to do that? But the people that had him beforehand didn't care. The school didn't care. You want to sit there and say, well, I've been a teacher 30 years or I've been in the school system, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Your resume means absolutely nothing. Those numbers right there just blew your resume out of the water like a battleship hitting the Japanese during World War II. You have no ground to stand on. None. It does not matter. An entire nation, that's where we stand. That's where we stand. With all of your supposed education and intellect. That you couldn't find a way to make those test scores, better without doctoring them, by the way. How do I know that you're not doing the right thing there? There's many different methods. Let's go back to my son, for instance, in the public school system. Here he was. Oh, and just so that we're clear, for anybody in my area that's watching right now, we didn't live here at the time. That school literally said they would not, they would do everything they could to make sure that kids stayed in the school at least until 1 p.m. Whether they needed to suspend them, expel them, put them in school suspension, whatever it was, they needed to do that. And why? Because 1 p.m. was the cutoff for how much money they got paid per head. Meanwhile, you've got apologists out there for this stuff trying to say, well, the reason these scores are this way is because there's not enough money in the school system. Bullshit. Bullshit. And now I will use this county as an example, now that I'm a lot more educated on how this stuff works. $1.2 million budget just from the county last year. Asked for another $990,000, but they were $1.4 million in debt. Also getting money from the state. Works out to somewhere between 9, and I know this is going to sound like a big number, but it's somewhere between 9 to 12 million per head. I'm sorry, not per head, for all the kids in there. Where's the money going? Imagine that amount of money, and this is the product that we get. This is what you're doing for our kids. No, you're too busy with all this other, like I said, other distractions and BS that they could clearly get a handle on when they're adults. But see, that's just it. See, you don't want them to be adults because you want them to literally be molded now so that they're, again, your little drones, whether by being uneducated and being able to really do anything, so that way they become dependent upon the system, or so that they don't revolt against you and go, everything you told me was wrong. See, the hate that's out there for LGBTQ and gays and, just in general, and the supposed racism that's out there that the left constantly says doesn't exist in the way that you say. I mean, literally, I still haven't put it together yet, but I will. People that don't even know me, know nothing about my life, but because I am a white male wearing a ball cap, probably because of my beard, sweatshirt, tree camouflage behind me, whatever, to them immediately I'm just some worthless redneck who's never done anything with his life. And I'm a racist. I hate gays. Or the LGBT community. I have toxic masculinity. Why? Because you saw me doing some push-ups on the Facebook for veteran and first responder suicide awareness? No, you guys are absolute morons. But this is what they're taught. This is what these kids regurgitate and parrot from the teachers that they're around. The people, I'm sure some of you remember this. It wasn't too long ago. I think it was during Barack Obama's first run for office. You had teachers unions out there, and if you didn't see the videos, I'll have to look it up, or you can do some research on your own. That would be helpful. But literally teachers unions, and I forget the lady's name. She was a black female that came out and said, "These are not your kids, they're our kids." That's the mindset right there. They don't give a shit about the parent. They don't give a shit about the community. In their mind, they have your kid all day. And here's the crazy part. They have your kid all day, so they feel like, oh, well, I'm the one having to deal with your kid all day. You're getting paid for that, first of all. Okay? And when you make comments, like I think I did say in the one, when you make comments like, the kids have nowhere to go because their parents are just as worthless or whatever. So you're labeling an entire community of folks, and you don't even know them. Everybody, for instance, in the fight that I have against our school board and our school system here, every person that's involved in that, not one of those people hates gays. They may not agree with it. It may be, contrary to their religion, but they don't hate them. They're not racist. And they don't want to go out and do anything to harm these people or kids. But when you try to sit there and say, well, we're doing this for the kids. No, you're not. You're doing it for yourselves. You're doing it to further your agenda. You're not fooling anybody. All you've done is gotten away with it for now because everybody's kind of been asleep at the wheel. But now that everybody's waking up, the chickens have come home to roost and you guys are panicking like crazy. And rightly so. You should be ashamed of yourselves for what you've done. You should be ashamed of these numbers. Absolutely ridiculous. Parents, if you're watching this, please spread this around. Let them know. Your kids, if we want to break this down to a monetary value, you are not getting your money's worth. Your kid is getting let down like crazy, and they are walking out of those schools, brainwashed drones that know absolutely zero. And then what do? They go right into a college or something like that because, again, counselors in the schools, they get funding and they get, I'm a loss for words around. Basically, they get perks, if you will, and it makes them look good, if you will, to get these kids to go to a college. And then when they get to the college, what's the first thing they do? They may sign up, for certain class loads or what have you. But now you've got universities and colleges that this has been going on for now almost 10 years, and maybe a little bit more. Required humanities courses, required ethics courses regarding LGBTQ and critical race theory and all this kind of stuff. None of this has anything to do with making these people successful in the ability to survive in their life. Not one bit. So when you're out there going, oh, well, I look out for all the kids. So am I. The only difference is I'm not hampering their future by putting them in a box right now. There's this one part about being American. It's called being free. How about you let them be free to figure it out for themselves and get back to what you're supposed to be teaching and get rid of these numbers. We're the greatest country on earth. People flock here daily, 24 hours a day, escaping oppressive regimes where they live. Same places you guys think in the left are all, great. Just like, France, where they just had 3 people stabbed and, person freaking decapitated. And they're sheep. Right there in a church. How many people were in that church that could have subdued that guy with a knife? But no, you're scared. So he was able, literally, to stab 3 people, cut one person's throat, an elderly woman. Of course, because he's a coward and that's what he targeted. And they had to wait for cops to show up, who then shot the guy and didn't kill him. You've got to be kidding me. That's the dronage I'm talking about. That's you can't even you are suffering from Stockholm syndrome so bad, from victimization to worrying about what people think about you, whatever. You can't even protect yourselves. My gosh, look at these idiots, that drive down the road, lately, because in California, because they've seen a Trump parade or Trump train or whatever, of trucks and stuff. Even, high profile, dare I say, artists, like, that idiot Cardi B and her stupid husband. Okay? Oh my God, they're going to kill us. I'm afraid they're going to do something to us. They probably didn't even know you were there because you're not on their radar. They don't care. But you were able to bring, you decided you want, her husband to break out your gun and point it at Trump supporters. Then you got caught. And now all of a sudden it's the Trump supporters' fault. No, you people are absolutely insane. 37% reading proficiency. This explains a lot, actually. Okay? Now, I will say that I'll give you a little bit about, because I complain about this myself when it comes to texting and things of that nature. Okay? I believe that everybody, especially when you're trying to put stuff out on Facebook for people, to try to really educate them. A lot of folks don't have a lot of time to read a whole lot. Hell, probably don't even have time to listen to this whole video in one shot. Who knows? Okay? I just hope that you go back and rewatch it and get the rest out of it. But 37% reading proficiency. Besides the fact that we've got ebonics like crazy all over the place, and it's not even what they thought it was gonna, or what they tried to pass back then. It's just slang for everything. Hood talk, whatever. Or, again, slurs. Slurs is all the entire sentence that you have. No actual vocabulary. That right there explains a lot. Between texting, skimming over everything. Well, of course. And there's no reinforcement whatsoever. Reading proficiency. Let's talk about that. What are some classes in the schools that might, have to do with that besides English grammar? Okay? English literature, any of your foreign languages, things like that, right? But no, instead of them actually reading, great works, that were written and being able to appreciate that, being able to decipher meaning from it or whatever. No, let's have, and yeah, I'm targeting you, let's have a Latin class and talk about George Floyd as an assignment. Let's have English literature and let's do a paper on George Floyd. A literal criminal and idiot who basically killed himself. Explain that, teachers. Again, if the shoe fits, wear it. But explain it. Because I know there's many of you teachers out there that are agreeing with me right now because I got your emails, at least in our area, and you're telling me all this stuff. And you're afraid to death that you can't say anything because you're afraid of losing your job. You're afraid of what they'll try to do to you in the community, blah, blah, blah. Listen, man. Again, like I've told you, we're at war right now. Yeah, it's not a shooty war, and I hope it never gets that far. But we are definitely at war. We're at war for the minds of our kids and the minds of this nation. They are trying to do everything they can to guilt everybody into victimhood and shutting up, so that you will never dissent against anything they have to say. And if the shoe fits, wear it. Those of you out there that are letting this happen, it's your fault. Just like if you don't get out and vote, then you have nothing to say. You can't say anything. You can't even complain. I mean, yeah, technically you can complain because you got freedom of speech, but I mean, think about it. Picture yourself in front of you saying whatever it is that you're complaining about, and yourself looking back at you and going, but you didn't even vote. When your vote could have possibly changed the outcome. Let's get to the next one. This right here. Oh my God. If you haven't seen this, man, holy crap. This is not a joke. Okay, this is not a joke. This happened. Okay, this happened 2 days ago in Oregon. This is a senior health official who decided to dress like a clown to announce their COVID-19 death toll. And I want to make sure we're clear about some things here, okay? It's like 600 total people, I guess, that have actually died over, I guess, in her area or something like that. And it's, I think it's in here. And I think they only have like 8 or 9 million. Maybe it's not in this article. I read it somewhere else. Because I've read about 3 or 4 articles on this. I think they have about 8 or 9 million people in that particular area. But I mean, I am not even joking. Like, let's go ahead and watch this nonsense. Where the heck is it? Here we go.
Hello, I'm Dr. Claire Pochet. I'm a general pediatrician and also a senior health advisor here at the Oregon
You're a
Health
senior
Authority.
health advisor.
I'm here with Shani Sharif, my colleague, who's also a senior health advisor.
Who's got to be losing
And
his
we
mind
thought
right
we'd
now.
start by giving you a quick update on where we are as a state with COVID-19. As of today, there have been 38,160 cases of COVID-19 in Oregon, with 390 new cases being reported today. Sadly, we are also reporting 3 deaths today, bringing the statewide total for COVID-19 related deaths to 600.
Oh, we got some buffering issues. Sorry about that. I'm not in control of this thing. It looks like the video is almost over too for some reason. But like she said, about 600. But dude, I mean, and I'm gonna steal this from Salty Cracker out there. I mean, I watched his after I'd heard about this. I had to see if because I'm sure he had done something, and he did. He's right, man. That guy over there that's freaking doing sign language, that dude should have been like literally telling everybody who speaks sign, do not pay attention to this woman because she is literally an insane person. Let me just look at her. That's what should have happened. I mean, obviously that's not what happened, but are you serious? Tell me, in what context did you think this was a good idea? To promote confidence, to promote, any type of, no, literally just confidence in the government. You decided to dress up like a clown. What's going to be your next excuse? That all of a sudden, we're getting close to Halloween. That's why. No, you didn't do it for Halloween. You didn't do it for Halloween. You did it for this. And everyone knows it. What, did you think a clown face was going to make people happy? It was going to make your supposed bad news, so much better? No, this is how insane and mentally unstable you morons are. And for those of you watching, this is who's out there. Remember what I said. If you're not involved and you're saying it's not my problem, these are the same people that are making the rules you've got to live by. The same people that want to freaking turn around and put you back in phase 1 like Northam's talking about doing for, Southwest Virginia, where most of the conservatives are, so that maybe we can't get out and vote and that kind of stuff. Even though all the cases are up there where he's at. Okay? This is what, I mean, my goodness, man. In what universe was this a good idea? Look at this. Look at that. Absolutely retarded. This is no laughing matter. Absolutely, it's not. Okay? It's not a laughing matter. Oh, I lied. 608 deaths. But it was 600 regardless. I mean, seriously, what do they got here? It was only when she cut to fellow senior advisor Shimmy Sharif, or whatever his name is, dressed in a cuddly animal onesie, that she said was inspired by the Japanese cartoon My Neighbor Totoro, or something like that, that it became clear that the costumes were part of a discussion on celebrating Halloween safety during the pandemic. Are you serious? That's your excuse? What if I were to turn around, leftist, and say she's appropriating clown culture? Although in this case, because she is in fact a clown, I mean, maybe she's not. Good grief. All right, moving on. And it just gets better. I don't know if you heard about this one. Joe Biden wins Nickelodeon's kid vote poll despite bot interference. Now, this is a left mainstream media, MSN. That's why I said I go to all this stuff. But here's the deal, okay? They hosted a vote for Trump or Biden on Nickelodeon for kids. Okay, again, why? Why? Because they're trying to indoctrinate the kids. That's all it is. It's indoctrination across the board. Well, apparently, there was, out of the, I forget what they said, 90 or 95, I think it was 95,000 votes, or 90,000 right here. Though they're not old enough to vote, 90,000 participants, or whatever, have selected Joe Biden. No, that's not what happened, okay? First of all, you need to add another 130,000 votes that they took out, saying it had to be bots. And so they just came up with this random number just to try to make it out where, as you can see here, Joe Biden won by 53% and Trump was trailing behind at 47%. There was 130,000 votes that were taken out. You're going to tell me that the left, who can't even control when they're hacked and everything else, could figure out? I mean, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all these people, that are billionaires and whatnot, that have have more extensive algorithms than a network TV show, Nickelodeon. You're going to tell me that they were able to ascertain Russian bots or whatever bots they were over a kid's vote? No. What happened is you didn't like the vote because Trump would have won. And so you took 130,000 votes away over a kid's show to show Biden winning. Because if you weren't aware, Nickelodeon is also a very left-leaning kids program or programmer. So those of you that actually have your kids watch that, you might want to pay attention to what's being said, what's being put out there. This right here, this immaturity, this is how insane the left is. When Trump wins November 3rd, because he's going to win. When he wins, my goodness, man. You people on the left are literally going to lose your minds. You're going to lose it. And I feel sorry for you, honestly. I feel sorry that you allowed an ideology to literally brainwash every one of you. Because I guarantee you, if you didn't do that, if you didn't have, the sycophants and the psychologists and psychiatrists that, are in the education system that are pushing this nonsense, and the activists that are teachers, etc., that are pushing this nonsense, you'd probably be normal people living a lot happier life. And we'd probably be sitting right across the table from one another having a cup of coffee. But no, because I can walk around. I even had this happen, okay? Everybody take a look at this shirt right here. What's it say? 9-line, right? For those of you that are veterans and those of you familiar with the company, you know it's a veteran-owned company. And I try to support every one of them that I can. But because it's got the oath of enlistment on the back that I took, along with countless others in the military as well as law enforcement and our first responders, and unfortunately our senators and congressmen, or really any of our politicians who don't uphold it, who don't uphold their oath, because it has it on there in their mind, that guy's a white supremacist. Had somebody ask me, what's 9-line supposed to mean? And I said, well, that's interesting. I'd actually would like you to do the research on it, but I'm happy to have that conversation with. Well, no, I don't care. I know it's got to be some right-wing nonsense. Yeah, that's what it is. So every time I called in air and called in a pilot and had to do a 9-line brief, okay, telling him enemy disposition to include ingress and egress routes, it was about white supremacy. It was about alt-right stuff. It was about racism. You people are absolutely insane. You have no idea what you're talking about half the time. And the sad part is, again, those conservatives out there that are trying to walk the fence and try to be the nice guys, you don't even realize you're being used. And the worst part is you don't have the tools to fight back. I'm not going to say the guy's name, and maybe he's watching this video right now. I don't know. But I told him regarding the group we have here, 50 Ways Rockbridge, that they have, out of the 750 to almost 800 people that they have that are part of that group, not saying they're all active and doing a lot of stuff, but, we have identified them. So, anyway, that he has a very large, because he's supposedly a capitalist, conservative, whatever, on the board, that they have a very large leftist extremist group that is a part of them. And the guy looked at me first and said, no, we don't. And then in the same breath, he hadn't even stopped making noise out of his mouth, said, you know what, you're probably right. Of course I'm right. I'm not going to say something like that without evidence. I've already done my homework. But something like this, okay? Something like this can set you off to just assume someone's a white supremacist. A beard, a hat, the American flag. If you don't like it, leave. If you don't love this country, leave. The only reason you can say this drivel that comes out of your mouth is because of those that came before you that fought and died for your freedoms. And those that are currently fighting to keep the wolf at bay so that you can have your freedoms. You would never get away with this crap in another country. You wouldn't. You'd be stoned, lashed. If you're gay, thrown off a freaking building. But no, you just want to act like everything starts and stops at America's shores. Just like the slavery thing. Wrong answer. And I'm probably beating a dead horse. But we gotta beat it. Slavery's been around for thousands of years. Thousands. And it didn't start with white folks, you idiots. And it's still going on today. In all kinds of manner. And the problem is now with civilized society, the technology we have, the ability to travel the world the way that we do. Obviously the criminals we have in office, like Biden and his freaking, pedophile son. Well, hell, they're both pedophiles in my mind. But, all of a sudden, we don't understand how, these kids are getting sex trafficked. My God, you liberals thought a literal coyote, an animal, brought a human across the freaking border? That just goes to show how much you don't know what's going on, how much you don't pay attention, you don't read, you have no idea about world events, anything even current in the nation. The term coyote is not new. It's been around forever. Been around forever. An opportunist, which is what a coyote is. And unless you're in the Marine Corps, coyote is, a loving name for our instructors out at 29 Palms in the desert. But in that sense of the word, it's an opportunist that exploits the situation. And that's exactly what they're doing. And then you guys want to get into nuanced crap. Oh, Trump said he was, only going to build, 100 miles or whatever. Now there's 3,000 miles. He never said that. Oh, man, they're gonna make the military come out and make us have to take these vaccines. Trump didn't say that. What he said was that he was going to use the military, i.e. the National Guard, by the way, to help facilitate the logistics of getting the vaccines out to people that want to take it. And it's funny because you got JFK Jr., absolute idiot, who wants to put out there almost entirely redacted form okay, regarding what he thinks was said and gave an opinion piece on that people just took it and ran with it. Oh, they are. They're getting 500 million doses of this thing, so every American in the nation can have 2 doses. Well, there's one problem with your math there, shitbag. There's 800,000 something people in the nation. So how is everybody going to get 2? Your math doesn't add up. Your logic doesn't add up. You're using these things because you're trying to control the simple minds, those on the left. Left, maybe that's what we should just say. Hey, we'll just call you left. Because you're getting left behind. But look at what's happening to your entire... I mean, I know I'm hoping against hope here, but my goodness, if Trump takes every state in the union, in the nation, holy smokes. If that's not an answer to you on the left that you're doing it wrong, I don't know what is. Now, I know you already got some, it's probably not going to happen because you've got some key players. I mean, look, you got Hillary Clinton, for crying out loud, going to be an electoral voter in New York. Wow, that's convenient. That's real convenient. You guys remember back in the day when Trump was getting elected, how we had electoral voters that said that they weren't going to do what the actual voters voted for? And there was this huge debate about whether or not that was legal. That they're supposed to do it in good faith and good conscience, to do what the voters said to make it a streamlined and easier process. Remember that? I do. And now you've got Hillary Clinton, who should be literally in prison right now. Hell, Biden shouldn't even be running for president right now. He should be indicted and brought up on charges right now. The FBI, what the heck are you guys doing, man? I'm pro law enforcement, but dude, you guys really screwed the pooch on this one. And I know why. Because some of you aren't very honorable. It's not everybody in the FBI. And that's the biggest problem is we've got names and we've got, whatever, our designators for everything. And unfortunately, all of you, idiots up at the top, you bring shame and dishonor on all the honorable, and hardworking agents beneath you. Because again, you've got this elitist attitude. Same thing in the military. There's people like that everywhere. It doesn't matter what your walk of life is. But I can tell you this before I get off of here. The one thing that's not going to happen, at least in my neck of the woods, and I encourage every one of you to do the same, go back to the very beginning of this video. I am not relenting. My resolve and my will, I guarantee you, is stronger than yours. If you're against this nation, if you're against these kids, you're against, their ability to be successful, you're against these communities, you want to push this ideology on the left, you've got some serious problems coming your way. And I'm just getting started. Just getting started. I know your game. I know how to play it. And that's the problem, isn't it? You better wake up. You better knock it off. And go ahead and think I'm just one man. Go ahead and think that. And then you may just in turn actually cause something like the Supreme Court justice to ruin your lives. Nobody wants your rioting. Nobody wants your supposed peaceful protests that aren't. Nobody wants your behavior whatsoever. You are literally acting like the scum of the earth. And if you support any of that for any reason, you're right along with them. I don't care what you've accomplished in your life. I don't care what your opinion is. What I care about is the Constitution that I, along with countless others, have literally fought for. And I'll be damned if you're going to deny us our rights. Test my resolve. Test it. You'll come out wanting. Anyway, for those of you still here, thanks a lot. Really appreciate all your attention. I have to wait until, late to do this stuff. But we got good things coming ahead. I'm sure of it. We just got to stay the course. Got to hold the line. We'll see you next time.
Stop by that house on Nesbitt Lake. He's sitting in his easy chair, watching a Sunday evening race. Tells me my grandma's in the other room. Guess he forgot we laid her down. It'll be a year come June. Then he mumbles about Vietnam. He don't know who the hell I am, but the drivers, well, he tells me who they are. I guess he still knows the numbers on